Okay, well, whenever I get in the depths of despair and I'm thinking to myself, am I going to live long enough to get this Jeep done? And then I go, why did I even take this project on in the first place? What was wrong with my old Jeep? And then I go out in the Jeep resting place out there on the side of the house and I bring in one of the old parts. So I'll just show you which one we brought in today. It's the old windshield frame. And, oh, that's right. That's why we did this, because half of the Jeep looked like that. This is the product of many Utah salty winters and such. So that's right. And as I recall, I think I could sit in the tub, on the old tub, right about here, in the passenger seat, and I could look straight down, and through a hole that was about 6 inches around, I could see the ground. And that's not supposed to be that way. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. We're going to disassemble some of this old windshield frame, see if we can get our windshield out, get that prepped to be set aside for a minute while I order in a new seal to put that windshield in here, because the windshield itself, I think, is in pretty good shape. So no big rock chips, no cracks. In fact, probably what I ought to do is take video proof of that before I get started, just in case things go sideways. So yeah, give me just a sec. I'll put the gloves back on, because I don't know that I'm up to date on all my tetanus shots, and we'll start working on this poor old rusty piece of Jeep stuff. It's getting hot here in Utah. We've got the air conditioner unit that I was using when I was painting hooked back up here. We got it kind of plumbed out the window. Let's see, I need to tape it up a little better, but it's shooting the bad hot air out the window and cool air in from the front. I have to shut it off when I'm talking to you because it's pretty noisy, but I'm going to turn that back on, get the temperature down to a reasonable temperature in here, and get to work on this thing. okay, as much for my benefit in a day or two or a week or a month or a year from now when I'm putting all this back together on the new windshield frame, it won't take that long. Come on, guys, have some faith. Anyway, this is the part right here that sticks through the windshield frame facing the front of the Jeep, okay? And it has a little notch on it. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if you can see it, but right there, there's a little notch. So the windshield frame has a hole, and the hole is supposed to have a little notch, and that fits into that notch and kind of holds this portion in place so it can't twist inside the frame even though it's screwed down. Then you have a little rubber washer type thing, and it is also notched out, and that went on next. Then we had our ring that was kind of supposed to make everything look nice, and that has a spot in the bottom of it there where that notch goes in, so that went on next, and that just, both those two pieces just pressed down on there. And then we had a nut that threaded onto that post, and that's what you tighten down to keep everything in place, okay? To get the windshield wiper arm off, basically this is just a shaft with a bunch of kind of teeth on it, like an axle shaft in essence, and you just push that on and you just pry it off. So there's nothing fancy about that. I know newer Jeeps, you know, you kind of have to twist this thing all the way up and then you pull a key out. Nothing like that on the old CJ stuff. It's just simply that piece of arm and you just pry it up off of there. So that gets our situation undone from the front of the Jeep. So then I came around to the back side of the frame here. I took off my cover. You'll notice a slight problem with this. It is not purple, nor is this. I'm starting to build a little collection of parts that are going to have to get a shot of paint, I think, towards the end here. But so this is the long end, and I believe that we could push this down in through the hole here, and that's how we're going to thread that in. Okay, so that will go in from the hole, and there's no need to take this end of the arm off of the thing. So that stays on there. Then that part comes down and connects to the post on our second frame. So that goes on first and slides down over there, and then this piece that goes to our motor goes over next, and then you get these little weird little clips, and they go onto the end of this shaft. They press on there and clip everything in place. There's 3 fairly good sized screws here that hold the motor to the bracket. So the motor's got a hole here, here, and here. And then the bracket itself had 2 more screw holes here and here that screwed me to these 2 holes on the frame itself. And then obviously here's our wire, which should plug into our painless wiring harness. And assuming our motor is still good, we should be all in good shape. So to repeat this, basically we're going to take this arm, again we're going to go to, this is the passenger side arm, and we're going to be able to feed that all the way in through the passenger side of the windshield frame until it gets lined up with its hole, and then press it down through the hole. Then we're going to take our second pivot point and we're going to press it down through the hole. That'll leave this sticking up to let us put our post on there, on that post, and then we're going to hook that piece for the motor, come over here, hook to the motor, and the motor on its shaft has another one of those exact same funky little clip things that clips on there. So that's how it holds the whole thing in place. So I do believe that this motor was fine when we took it out, but we'll probably put a little power to that thing before we hook everything back together and just make sure we're all good. Whilst we've got this thing in here, I am going to pull off all these extra pieces off of it, and all these extra little, these are those little star head machine nuts that are in there. Those were holding like this cover to the backer plate, and there's a few more of those. There's a couple over there and a couple over there, and I was just thinking I should probably keep as many of those as I can get, so in case I have to use them elsewhere, I won't have to buy any. And then I had the world's biggest mirror on here. I don't think I'm gonna save that thing. I don't really care about that. But I will take off these pieces that are on either side of the frame. Those went to the soft tub or the soft top that was on there. And there's some pieces on the top of the frame that the soft top kind of slid into a channel. I'll probably take those off as well. And then that'll be all the pieces and parts off this thing. And then gonna tear into getting this windshield out. So I'll do that next. Okay, we've got everything off of here that we want to salvage. These are the parts that were up on the side of the windshield frame. So the door closed against these basically. This little part of the channel up here was what the piece that goes back to the roll cage area, back of the door. There's a piece kind of across there that holds down your top of your top when it comes over. So I did want to keep these. The screws that were holding those in place were these little tiny dudes here. I'm probably not going to be able to see them very well, but they were all rusted in place so bad that every single one of them just broke the head off as I was trying to take them off. So the screws we weren't able to salvage. That's okay. And I don't know that I need these necessarily, but I kept them. And same with this. This is the piece I mentioned that goes on the top of your windshield frame and has a little track there that your windshield or your soft top has and that kind of goes into there to hold it in place. So thought we'd keep these, may or may not need them, but now the last thing to do is to see if we can't get this windshield frame or windshield out of here. And I'm not gonna try to save the rubber that's around here. It's been siliconed in place and so forth, so it's gonna be a mess. So I may watch a YouTube and see if I can find a how to remove your windshield, just to see what the shape of that seal is, because I don't know if it's easier to take it out from the front of the frame or the back of the frame. So that's really the only thing I need to figure out, is which side of this I should be working on, and then I'll start working on it. Okay guys, well, I got myself educated thanks to Jeep and Cool guy. And I didn't watch his whole video. I watched enough of it to figure out which way I'm going to do this, and I will watch more as I go. However, in the interest of making my life a little bit easier, what I did before I got started, I put some blue tape on the windshield and I marked this is the top and this is the exterior face facing front of the Jeep. That way, no matter where this windshield travels around in the shop here, as long as our exterior face top smiley face tape stays on there, we're going to be good. It does look like though we are going to work on this from the other side of the frame. So I'm going to flip this thing over and I'm being extra careful now because I've bent up all my rusty chunk along here, so now I've got this nice serrated edge that's sticking out here, which I'll probably bend that back down just to save myself from lacerations. But it looks to me like what we're going to do is we're going to work on the outer edge of this lip, peel that up, and see if we can't start to get that windshield pressed down out of the frame here. So I'll start in on that. I don't know that I'm going to be able to have a chat with you much while I'm doing this, because I have to shut the air conditioner off to talk, and the music. And if any job requires some soothing music, I think this one's probably going to, because again, this windshield has no cracks, no rock chips. It's in pretty good shape, and I really want to keep it that way. So I'll just do this quietly with some calming music in the background to soothe my soul while I do this. So anyway, let's do it. All right, well that went okay. Now I will just tell you, because I knew that I was not going to keep that seal, because it was, 77 years old or 45 years old, whatever this Jeep was, and it had been all silicone in place. It was a mess. So I wasn't going to keep it. So I took a razor knife and I went around the inside portion of the frame. There was a little kind of area that I thought was about where the metal and the window hit. It was pretty thin, so you could kind of take that razor knife and just slice all the way around there. So I sliced all that. Then I effectively had the window pretty much just kind of glued in there by the silicone and stuff. So came around here to the front side and did a little trimming, did a little digging to get my silicone infested stuff disconnected from the frame here. And then I was able to gently kind of pry up on this end and start working my way down with the screwdriver all along here. So I wasn't putting too much bow on the windshield, and got her out of there. Now, again, look at this frame. I mean, I don't know, this thing was just so rusted. So there was no saving at least that windshield frame, that's for sure. I was just no saving it. So I have everything off it that I want off of it. I have the old seal off here in parts on the floor. I have the windshield out in good shape. No cracks, no chips, no nothing. So I do not have a new seal. I need to order one of those. So I think what I'll do for right now is I'm going to probably take the chop saw and chop this windshield frame into 4 or 5 pieces and throw it in the dumpster for the garbage man to haul away, along with these chunks of my seal that came out of there. And we'll set that windshield in a cool spot, and we'll order up another seal and get it in there. Okay, well, where we're at now is I have got the windshield out. I've got the old seal off of it. Windshield frame's out of my way. I did grab a bottle of just windshield washing fluid and squirted the windshield down and took all the 50 years of dirt off of it. And then what I had was on the inside of the Jeep for a long time, I had a for sale sign taped up inside of there. Yes, I truly did have a for sale sign taped up inside of this thing for some time. In fact, so long that the masking tape or the clear tape that I'd used there, the goo from the tape was welded to the windshield basically. So the windshield washer fluid stuff would not take that off. And it also wouldn't touch what was left of my silicone remnants around the perimeter of the windshield. So I drug out my trusty acetone and I splashed some of that on that tape goo, let it sit for a few minutes, took my little rubber plastic putty knife that I'm using so I don't scratch the windshield, and that acetone just eats through that glue and loosened it right up, and that came right off. I have started working my way around the perimeter and it's looking pretty good as well. Just same thing. I scraped off as much as I could with that plastic putty knife, but you can see there's still a kind of a line of it all the way around here. And over here, you can see that's effectively gone. I've just taken acetone and cleaned that off. In fact, we've got it clean enough here. We can see our safety, engraving on the windshield there to show us that it's a safety windshield, that whatever that tells us. But anyway, pretty good shape I think we're in with this windshield. I'm pretty happy how that went. So I don't have another seal yet, and I've got to get one of those ordered in. But now I'm to the point where I could probably start thinking about putting my windshield frame or my windshield wipers in it. The only downside is those components you saw me take off that are not painted the right color. I'll have to do something with those, but I'm kind of developing a few things that I'm gonna need to paint. Those are one thing, the windshield housing or the windshield wiper motor housing. But another thing is these plates that go right here to hold our windshield in place. Those are gonna need to be painted. And I think I showed you last time around, I have the bottom hinges new that go right here for the windshield or for the door hinges, and they're just black. They'll need a little shot of paint. So at some point here pretty quick, I'll probably try to make an inventory of everything I can think of that needs a little blast of paint and some clear coat. And I'll set up a little paint operation just for an hour or two. It won't be much stuff. It's not going to be much stuff, but I do have some things that need to be sanded up and primered and all that. So I'll work on those, and I will start to put stuff back together to the point where I can start to work on my wiring harness. So that's exciting. That'll be a good big step forward when we start wiring this thing back up. And then really all I have left is in the engine compartment, brake lines, finish off the coil wire, get the radiator there and get my cooling system plumbed up, get my grill in place. Now I can set the hood on, or as soon as I get the grill in place, I can put the hood on. I got to get that hood off the floor. It's just such a pain. It's standing up on some cardboard and I have to keep moving it back and forth every time I do something, and that's a really nuisance. So I would like to have the hood on there. But yeah, I think that went pretty good today. Again, if I was trying to save this seal, it would have been another different kind of job. But the fact that it had been basically glued in there and I knew that it wasn't going to come out and I didn't want to save it, taking that razor knife and going around the inside perimeter, boy, that sure saved me, I think, probably a ton of work. And now I've got the old seal here. I can see what it's going to look like in cross section, so I can figure out how we're going to put it back in. I think it'll be okay. Not too scared of that job. So yeah, getting the windshield cleaned up. Everything's looking good there. I think we're in good shape. Made a pretty good progress this week. It's a little short week for me here. I'm going to go grab a bite to eat, and the boys are up in Montreal this weekend for a Formula One weekend, so I'm going to go watch that. And I will probably be heading up to the PNW here midweek next week. So this will probably be the last time you see me for a little bit, and then you'll see me when I get back from Seattle.